Hello, I'm Ivo, and today I'm gonna give you my 5 tips that will help you become a fluent English speaker. Let's get started. So I'm gonna start with actually how I started. So when I was 20 years old, I decided to learn English language. I didn't know a single word in English, and I never ever wanted to learn the language, and I hated my English teacher. We've learned at school for like 7 or 8 years English language. I hated my teacher. I really didn't like the language, and I never thought that I will need this language later on in my life. And what actually happened is when I was 21 years old, I decided to go and live in England, and then I needed to know the English language, and I started learning by myself. I never visited a single English class. I've learned everything by myself, and that was really hard, and I put so much efforts, but at the end it pays off. So let's start with the tips. The tip number 1 is you need to break through the translation loop. So translation loop is something that we try to translate from our native language into English and try to create the sentences, which actually these sentences that we creating are completely wrong, because the English language sentences got a different structure than our native languages. So my first language is Bulgarian language, and English language is my second language. So if I try to make a certain sentence from my native language into English, it will sound really silly. It does not make any sense. So that's why so many people out there struggling with speaking in English, and that's a single factor which holding them back. So if you want to become a fluent English speaker, you need to break through the translation loop. Stop translating from your native language into English. That's very important. I used to do this years ago, and I've tried to find a way to prevent doing this, and then at the end I succeed. So this is very important. Break through the translation loop. That's tip number 1. Let's move into the tip number 2. Tip number 2 is don't obsess over your mistakes. So we are all human beings. We all make mistakes. That's part of the process. That's how we learn. So if you, for example, you're trying to say something and you make a mistake, don't worry. Just carry on. If somebody corrects you, try to remember how you need to use this certain word or sentence next time. Just keep talking. Don't worry. That's how we learn, by making mistakes. So just if you make mistakes, keep going. That's tip number 2. Don't worry about your mistakes. Tip number 3, it's practice. Whenever you want, wherever you want, practice as much as you can. So that's very important. Keep practicing. Keep trying to keep repeating the same things over and over and over again. That's something that will really help you. Practice. And for example, if you learn certain things, make sure that you learn them and then you move on to the next things, to the next lesson, to the new stuff. So that's very important. tip number 4 is try to learn the whole sentences, not individual words. All the English speakers, they're trying to use the whole sentences when they talk to each other. They don't use the single words. So that's very important. When you speak in English, try to use the whole sentences. And the other thing which is also very important is to link the words together. For example, the English people, they don't use they don't say the things like how are you? They say how are you? What do you do? Did you go to the shop yesterday? They link the words together, and that's the way how they speak to each other. So that's something which is also very important. Try to link the words together. And let's move into the tip number 5. Tip number 5 is listening. Listening. So, when we are babies, the first thing we learn, it's like mom, dad, and some other basic things. And we learn all these things by listening. We just listen careful, or when they talk to us every single day, they just saying the same things over and over again, and they just goes in our mind. And then we say mom, dad, or whatever. We don't know how to write, how to read when we are babies. We don't know anything about this stuff. So that's very important to listen careful. And for example, if you're watching some videos on Facebook, or if you're watching a movies, don't try to watch the whole movie or the whole video. Just watch 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and then pause the video or the movie, go back and watch this again. You can watch something twice, 3 times, 4 times, and then try to remember what they're saying, trying to understand what they're talking about. And by doing this, you get better, 100%. I used to do this when I started. I used to watch videos on YouTube. There was some American English teacher, and I used to watch all his videos. And just because I didn't know what the certain words means, I was translating them and trying to figure out what he's talking about. And that really helps me a lot. So try to just review and listen to the same things over and over again. That's very important. So that was my 5 tips that I hope will help you become a fluent English speaker if you apply all of them. And I'm gonna give you another 6 tip, which I hope bonus tip, which will help you become a really good speaker. Just never give up. If you give up, so many people which been living in UK for 5 years, even more, they're saying that they want to learn the language, they want to become fluent English speakers, but they don't put any efforts and they giving up early. That's a really big failure, actually. So if you want to become a fluent English speaker, Don't give up. Put efforts, put time, and you will succeed. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it will help you become a really good speaker. And thanks for watching. If you like the video, you can thumb up, you can subscribe to my channel, and see you next time.